we share a conversation right here. And of course, it's a beautiful way to start the new month anyways. Now, as Nigeria inches ever closer to the 2027 general elections, we know the conversation is no longer just about who we run, but whether the system itself is ready to deliver a credible process. We saw the highly contested 2023 general elections. We saw the aftermath, which was marked by legal battles, public distrust, intense political divisions, Nigerians asking deeper questions, questions about institutions, questions about political culture, and most importantly, questions about trust. So this morning, the conversation is about INEC parties' preparation ahead of 2027. And who better to do justice to this than a social commentator who knows all too well about this conversation in person of Mr. Badejoko Adesumbo. You're welcome this morning.
Good morning, our viewers. It's always a pleasure being here with you guys.
Now, we're looking at 2027, and there were more defections this morning. Ahead of these elections, what's the first question that pops in your head?
Well, when are we going to be done with all this? That's what has been coming to my mind because I don't know, this election, it's like it's the first time we're going to be having elections. Because we've been hearing about 2027, even from 2024. That's unprecedented. We hardly hear about election until the year preceding it. But 2027, I wouldn't know, probably because of the fallout of 2023, and of course the contest at that time. The politicians involved, all of them seems not to accept the outcome. And because of that, they kept on campaigning, even while the government has been sworn in and they're already deep into governance. And that is what has made 2027 to be the most talked about in the history of our electioneering process. And the enthusiasm level is higher. And of course, you see the level of desperation on the part of the politician is on the highest this time around.
Okay, now let's talk about INEC. Let's go back to 2023. That election was meant to be a turning point. We're talking the BVAS technology. We're talking about result transmission and all of that in real time. We're talking about that hope for transparency, but we didn't exactly get that. Now, after all of this inconsistency, do you think INEC has built enough public confidence ahead of 2027?
They're still trying. But I don't really blame INEC that much. INEC is like a referee in a football game. It is the players that will play the game. They have to play by the rules. The work of the referee is to enforce that ensure that the players play by the rule. If they refuse, there's little or nothing that the referee can do about that. The best it can do, or the worst, is to stop the game and to discontinue the match. So that's the situation with INEC. And our politicians are the players in this game. Oftentimes, they've refused to play by the rule. They want to set their own rule. They want to do things in their own way, even though there are laid down guidelines that they are supposed to follow. And because of that, they hardly agree with the guidelines set by INEC. And so they look for excuses to always blame INEC for their own lapses. And that has always been the problem with our electioneering process. It is not INEC that goes to court. You understand? It's unthinkable for INEC to go to court to challenge the result of an election it conducted. But the politicians will always drag INEC to come and defend in court the outcome of the election that they participated in, that they contributed to the malpractice that greeted the election and all of that. For instance, when we talk of vote buying, which is a common thing now, is it INEC that buy votes? When we talk about distortion of results, falsification of results, it's not INEC that do all this. politicians are always involved along the line. But they will pretend as if they had not done anything wrong and put the whole thing on INEC. So I don't share that view with them, but I often criticize it. And that's why if you look at INEC, let's judge INEC from, look at their trajectory from 1999. There's always been an improvement. But at every year, whatsoever device or technology they add to the process, politicians always want to frustrate. For instance, some people attempted to hack the server, and they had to shut the thing down, though they used the word glitch, which wasn't properly communicated, and that was what caused the problem. And that's the only thing I will blame INEC for in 2023. What led to the glitch? It couldn't have been INEC. Some people attempted it. In fact, NICTA submitted a report that there were more than 12,000 attempted within that 12 hours. So when you have a situation like that, is it for, some people have contracted some guys to do these things, and these are politicians. And they pretended, up till now, none of them is owning up onto that fact because they were not caught in the act. Now we're at it again. And that is more of the reason why when there was debate about the 2026 Act that wasn't signed, there was so much controversy about real-time or no real-time electronic transmission of results because they knew what happened in 2023. And they wouldn't want a situation where the entire destiny of the nation would be subjected to a machine that is not reliable.
Okay, thank you very much for bringing that up. Well, we will delve deeper into this conversation, but let's go on this commercial break and we'll be back for some more.
Breaking news. The home is under attack, but not for long, because Hypo is here. Dirty floors and surfaces.
Not on our watch.
Dirty and stains don't be do shakara. We got the remedy, original palasa. Hypo, go hypo.
Germs always find a way back.
No green. Protect every day with Hypo.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
Well, thank you very much for sticking around with us. We're sitting in conversation with the social commentator, Mr. Badijoku Adesumba. We've spoken about INEC a little bit. Now, we saw a lot of things to learn from the last time. Fumbi, you are itching to talk. I think I should just let you get
Okay,
on
so
with this
before,
conversation.
earlier, Mr. Badijoku Adesumba was talking about, the major fallout in 2023 election, which was the transmission of results. And, we saw or we heard the glitches that was, the glitch being the major issue mentioned during. But apart from, I know that's what we are all expecting to see coming next year, especially live transmission of results. How or what are our expectations? What are your expectations from INEC coming 2027, looking at what happened in 2023, and of course not having a playback of such act in 2027? And also let's look at other fallout from 2023 and how it can be managed better in preparation for the coming election.
Oh, expectation. My friend, Libros Oshuma, used to say something. He said, blessed are those who are not expectant, for they shall not be disappointed. Now, because of that quote, I don't have much expectation from INEC, but rather from the politicians. You understand? I want a situation where for once they will play by the rules and stop putting pressure on INEC and stop eating up the polity and stop disappointing Nigerians, because that is where the problem really is. INEC would always do its best. But they've started again. INEC issued a first guideline timetable, and somebody suddenly said it's going to be in Ramadan. So we've already started again. What is the big deal in voting during Ramadan? Voting will end by 3 p.m. They will not break their fast until 7 or 6:30. So what is the big deal in voting during Ramadan? But now, because of that pronouncement by one of the major politicians in the opposing side, INEC had to shift the election to January. They've started again, wanting to set the rules. And that is why I said my expectation is not really from INEC, it's from the people, the politicians. They are the problems that we always have. They have been unrepentant about their attitude, level of desperation, and until they change, we won't have a credible system.
Okay, now, I was going to ask earlier on about lessons that we have learned, and this is definitely one of them. How long will we continue to have that merry-go-round, bending to the whims and pleasures of certain politicians or powers that be politically, especially around the election period? Because what you've just mentioned is a pointer of one of the tools that they use, mentioning the Ramadan period, we cannot vote during this time, or this and that, or religious this and that, and then we start to bend again. Have we really learned lessons? And if there are lessons that we have not learned, what are they? So that we start to identify these things.
Truth of the matter is, we've always learned. The people, INEC. The politicians are the problem. It's like I'm all out for them today. And those of them listening to me cannot defend or oppose all I'm saying. They are guilty as charged. Another thing they've come up, an electoral law was just passed, signed into law. You're asking for amendments, even without being tested or used for any election. How would you explain that? Do you understand? Other than what? They want to set the rules of the game by them. And you cannot be a judge in your own case. You cannot be the candidate and examiner at the same time. So these are issues that we have as a nation. So people has the very lowest level of discouragement in the process, in the entire system. So rather than helping to encourage the people, they are doing things because political education, voters' education is a part of the function of political parties. But in Nigeria, they seem to have abandoned that completely. They are not doing it. Right now, rather than being busy educating people about the new law, how it affects them, how it's going to affect the process, what they are required to do, they are not doing all of that. They are busy even challenging the content, saying it's one-sided, as if you are not part of the process of making the law. Now, this set of things they are complaining about now, we're all there, but they singled out real-time electronic transmission. And once that did not pass, they are now looking for other things to use to condemn. And you cannot, it's already a law. The only thing is amendments. Of course, if amendment will happen, it's not going to be targeted at this 2027 election. It's going to be after it. That means we'll have a situation where we're going to change our law again after the election, making it a regular thing that every election year we have to change our laws. That is really uncalled for. Especially going with the fact that we just changed one 4 years ago, and now we're changing it again, and we're already thinking of changing another one, even without using this one. So these are issues, and we've not really, the people have learned, but the truth of the matter is, the lesson they've learned is not a positive one, it's a negative one.
All right, speaking about that, that transmission is one of those things that people really look forward to the last time out. And I asked that question about lessons because what we saw in 2023 was the lowest turnout since 1999. We have less than 27% of the population. That means over 70%
of the eligible voters.
Over 70% of eligible voters were not interested in voting. And we saw the viral trend at the time and all of that. When you look at it, there's a line that says democracy, where 7 out of 10 people who stay at home, is a legitimacy crisis.
It would be in theory. Any process you refuse to partake in deliberately you have no right to condemn the outcome. That is for those who would always sit at home. You understand? So there's nothing, it has happened, it has happened. Election properly conducted successfully is valid. Even if it's only 10 people that come out to vote.
Properly conducted.
Because INEC will not go to people's houses to be forcing them out. It is part of the responsibility of the political party. Let me land on this point.
Okay.
To mobilize the voters out. Haven't properly educated them. Do you understand? Do you know that about 80% of those who are criticizing the IRF not working did not vote in that election? But they've certainly seen something to begin to hammer, and they were hammering it as if they were even part of the voting.
But Mr. Badejoko, so many people gave reports that they were not allowed to vote in certain areas.
That may not be 100% true. We monitor this election. You know what I do now. In fact, I'm even one of the most disappointed people because on the eve of that election, I was all over the social media houses asking people to come and that this time around your vote will count. You're going to be seeing the thing on your phone and all of that, encouraging people.
Yeah, but looking at...
But most of those people we're speaking to did not even, because if they had come out, we wouldn't have that low turnout. They did not. But the following morning, after the INEC IRF did not work, they were the people making the loudest noise, as if they came out to vote. You understand what I'm saying? Because the politicians have sold them the narrative again. But eventually, the results of that election was posted on IRF. But because it wasn't real time, people were not interested in it. You understand? But we knew what happened, what affected the real-time transmission. Only a fool will continue with that process when your system is being attacked.
So looking at that, the display, everything that happened in 2023, what can we say about the credibility of INEC, right now, the trust, the confidence of the people in INEC in conducting a free and fair election, especially talking of the live transmission of results? Because you would agree with me, like we said earlier, this election seems to be the most talked about election in the history of Nigeria, and we all want to see real-time results. On another platform, that question has been posed to me. You know what I said? I responded with asking another question. I said, in Nigerian election history, which election is usually adjudged the most or the freest and fairest in Nigeria? The anchor responded, the 1993 election, it resumed. I said, yes, you are correct. That's the election that is widely adjudged as the fairest and the freest. I now ask the second question. Was it transmitted electronically? The obvious answer was no. Why? Because the politicians of that time, they have sense. Their head is very correct. They know what they are doing. They are not like this crop of desperados that we have there now. So when you have, they are the ones. They are the ones that cook up the narrative and sell it out there. You understand? Sponsor fake information that they know is not true, just to hit up the policy. Why? They want to grab power at all costs. And when you have them, some people did it in the past. Can two wrong make it right? But making reference to the 1993 election and what we've had so far in Nigeria, is it just a technology? I mean, just like it was not transmitted. We didn't have anything like BVAS, the IREV, the live transmission. But are you saying it goes beyond the technology?
It's all about the personalities involved.
Before you answer that question, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Yes, make we talk. Time don't reach to rearrange the sounds to give una small wisdom. Sounds might be fresh now, but you know, I beg no be so. Before una go talk, say our smile no reach. Make una think I'm try so. Ever heard of Colgate, the #1 oral care brand in the world?
Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection unlocks 24 hours cavity defense. The formula boost with calcium for lifelong smiles. Colgate for 24 hours maximum cavity protection.
You can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome
Kwadu Kingdom, guys.
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on malaria gone.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Before we went on that break, we were talking about comparison you made between 1993 election and other elections we've had.
It's about the personalities involved. You understand? There's nothing special that Professor Humphrey also did that Professor Atayeru Jega had not done, that Yakubu did not do, that Amopiton is not currently doing. You understand? But those who were the players, that's where the difference was. You understand? I expect them to have learned over the years, mature into this thing, not getting worse by the day, character-wise. Because it's all about them. We are not the one that will stand as candidates. They are the ones. We are not the one that wants to be in political office. It is them. And we are not the one that goes to court to challenge even outcome of primary elections. Is that terrible? Your party will take decision, you will still not abide by it. You want to go to court on that. And that will move, later affect it. We have seen in this country, serially, where pre-election matters affected the outcome of the elections. In Zamfara, the entire elected people had to be sacked before swearing in. And the opposition was declared winner as the runner-up. In Bayelsa, the governor was having a rehearsal of his swearing in, the governor-elect, when the news of his nullification of his results got to him. And somebody else was sworn in the following day. Another person did rehearsal. Another person was sworn in because of pre-election matters. You understand? We've had, because of pre-election matters, a situation, okay, this was an election matter, where someone who did not came first, second or third, but fourth, due to all manner of circumstances, was declared the winner of the election. And the governor that has been sworn in had to leave the office. All in this country. Because of what? And when all those things were happening, it was victory for democracy. Judiciary is the hope of the masses. But let it go the other way.
Now, I'm talking of...
You will still see the same people who have shouted victory now saying, no, the judiciary has compromised. They are a disgrace to this country. It's a corrupt institution. All manner of narrative will still be coming from their mouth again. Now, tell me, is it the people doing all of that? Or is it INEC responsible for all that? It is the politicians. So what Nigerians should be praying for is that God will just touch their hearts, give them that needed maturity to accept defeat in good faith. Until we begin to see that. The elections are conducted all over the world. You understand? Kamala Harris was defeated less than 2 years ago. She did not go to court. Don't they have courts in the United States? So was she satisfied with the outcome of the result? She never believed she could be defeated.
But should we also look, looking at our own climb, should we also look at it from the angle of credibility? We see when elections are conducted, we see when results are announced, we see the themes, games that is being played during the election. So when someone feels cheated, of course, they are within the right of going to the court. And I just want to say, you're talking about or questioning the motive behind going to the court. Does it not speak to the credibility or not trusting?
Most often it's selfishness. And that's why, almost 80% of the court cases always come in favor of those who are the plaintiff. Now, they are party agents. I want to say it here authoritatively, and I challenge any politician to come and oppose it. They always know the result of the elections, even before INEC announces. Even those that made so much noise about the glitch the other, they have their results with them. They know they lost. But they are seeing an opportunity to disorganize the whole process. So they will begin to hammer on that. Because, let me tell you how it works. At every polling unit, there is that EC8A is the main result of the election. That is what will be collated. That's what will be transferred. That is what the law says now must be transmitted into high ref. That was what was being transmitted before the glitch in 2023. You understand? Yeah. How is the hit from EC8A arrived at? Once people come to cast their ballots, they put them in a box. The presiding officer, after stopping the election in that unit, would now open the box, pour the thing down, and they will start what is called sorting. Each of the agents will stand. He is discovering the ballots. Okay, this one is party A. He gives the agent for party A. It continues like that. Give all the ballots for party A to party A agent, that of party B to party B agent, and on like that. After the sorting, it will now begin to collect the sorted ballots. And aside the sorting, there will be some voided votes, maybe some printing in between the lines, or somewhere else, some of these old people, or some people with visual impairment. So all the voided votes will be put aside, but everybody will agree the vote is void. Aside. The agents are the representative of their parties. So they are so powerful at that level. And witnesses are supporters, voters who wanted to see the outcome, and security agents, as well as the colleagues of the presiding officers. Now, each of the votes will be counted and recorded, all of them witnessing it. Now, all what has been recorded in the maybe Jota or somewhere will now be transferred into that EC8A. And it's in multiple duplicates. So the original will be filled, they will all witness it. The results must tally, what he's feeling must tally with what he counted before every other person. Now, he would now fill the whole thing. Having filled it, he puts his signature to it. Each of the agents will sign. The security personnel at the polling unit will also sign as witness. Those are the people authorized to sign. After signing, he detached the original. He will now give each of them their copies. And now paste a copy at that polling unit. Then they pack their things, they move to the collation center. The white copy, which is the original, is what he is to take and give the returning officer for the ward that would collate the entire result from polling units within the ward to fill what is called EC8B. At that point, there are other agents of the party at that same place too, who will also witness, collect their own EC8B too. Now, when you now see, meaning that political parties are involved in all the collation process. So, and they go back with their copy to their, wherever they have their situation room or their collation center at the party level. You understand? Because the one for the agents, the work ends at the polling unit level. He goes and drops, there's a designated party man that will collect all these things. And they will do their own collation. They know whether they win or not. They will only be waiting for the official announcement. And most often, when they discover that they have lost, that is when they start the noise.
So when we have representatives, or there are representatives, in most of these, in the process, and we still see them going to court, fighting, is it a means for them to destabilize the process, or, they just want to stop?
That is a display of their indiscipline and desperation. And that is why I said they are the ones that we should appeal to play by the rules, to be mature and accept defeat in good faith. It's a context. Somebody will emerge as a winner and somebody will lose. And if you lose today, it doesn't mean you are not going to win again. Donald Trump is a recent example. He won against Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden came and defeated him. He came back again and defeated Kamala Harris. He did not say, okay, when he was defeated, he should have won the first time. Though he also played some tricks and disgracing America at that time, but of course the institution stood strong and stood against him. But he came back and he won again because America, okay, they've seen the other side. They prefer him to the next person, or they don't want a woman to rule them yet, as some people had insinuated. How come Trump is only defeating women? So, but the thing is, a process was conducted. I remember Hillary Clinton said, though this was not the outcome we expected, but we'll accept it in good faith, and he's going to be our president. I'm waiting to see an opposition leader that will say such statements after the announcement of the results. The only person on record so far has been Goodluck Jonathan.
Okay, now let's talk about the political parties themselves now. We've seen a lot of defections. In the House, we just read this morning about 27, 28 moved parties.
27.
Thank you. Now, we're looking at them. How prepared are these parties for these elections and their selections of candidates through the primaries, before the primaries? Do you think there will be a change? Do you think they are going to give us the best of the lots, for the elections?
For the nomination, the law gives them two options: consensus and direct primaries. I'm still trying to imagine why the indirect option was deleted. Some people are asking for it. But why I welcomed the development was because it will demonetize the process in a way. Because indirect primaries has been known to be the main reason why primary elections were monetized, or putting it in proper perspective, dollarized. You understand? But because we saw what happened prior to 2023, prior to 2019, even prior to 2015. You understand? The whole thing was dollarized. And delegates were always smiling to the bank. And of course, it affects the credibility. Though consensus will bring issues, but it depends on the structure of the party. If they have a good structure that knows how to manage crisis effectively, it will not lead to court case. But if they don't, that means some people would challenge the nomination of the person. Of course, if someone else is nominated above you or ahead of you, you would want to ask the question, why is this person better than me? Or why is this person preferred to me? So these are things that you want to know. And there are party mechanisms for you to channel your grievances. And you should be able to accept the decision of the party if you are a mature politician that is disciplined. That will even be a plus for you because they will look at how you've responded to the issue and find something else to compensate you. Party will look at, okay, perhaps this particular aspirant stand a better chance of guaranteeing victory for the party than you do. You will know now. Everybody knows their capacity individually. So if you know that this particular aspirant is stronger than you, he has network across the state, and you expect the party to drop that kind of person and pick you, probably because maybe you have more money than him, or you think you know the overall chairman. It doesn't work like that. Or you are connected to the presidency. It doesn't work that way. They will look at other reasons why they feel this person had done some things wrong, or you have issues with the people. Maybe they have some personality grouse with you, and they will not prefer you on the ballot. And these party people knows. They know whom they must not field. That would definitely mean that they have lost the election. Okay. So when they now pick somebody that they believe that this person should be able, all things working together for them, guarantee victory, they will pick the person and, of course, explain to the others. Now, I think there's still a clause there. They must all sign, I endorse the consensus, which is important so that you not come back tomorrow and say you were not part of it. Once your signature appears there, then you accept whatever is a decision. So these are things that they have done now. How they will receive it, we wouldn't know. We'll know between the end of this month and the end of May to know whether or not there will be post-primary litigations or not.
Okay. Still looking at the internal crisis in these political parties, we've seen the gale of defections. We've seen back and forth, we've seen what happened. We are seeing what's happening in PDP, ADC, NNPP, other political parties, and it feels like virtually all opposition parties, have one crisis or the other rocking them. Now, what are we going to talk about? Is this going to be a threat to the credibility of the result of 2027 election?
No, internal party crisis.
And also, well, maybe not necessarily equates to the credibility of results, but the interest of the people. Are we going to see the real interest of the people being represented in the results of 2027?
Well, the parties will have to be sensitive. At the national level, they would know individuals within their parties that the people may prefer. You understand? For the presidency, they would know. And for the gale of defection you mentioned, one party seems to be, or two parties are the main beneficiaries of the defections. The APC, that has raked in 32 governors, or 31, one later withdrew. And the ADC, who is yet to have a governor, but most likely before the end of this week may have one. You understand? So, when you look at that, they've been the most beneficiary. Now, they should be sensitive enough. There are some individuals among them that needed to be appealed to. Sir, you and I, you know that from the pulse we are feeling in the society from out there, people would prefer this particular aspirant. Would you mind stepping down for him? Just to guarantee victory for us. These are conversations that each of these parties must have, not the ruling party. Of course, we know the president has the first right of refusal, and of course, he has been endorsed by his party already. It's just for the final nomination at the convention. But for the other parties that are coming from the opposition, it's important they have such conversation. And if they could agree on a consensus, fine. But if they could not agree, then they go to primaries with an undertaking that all the aspirants must agree with the outcome of the primaries. Because what Nigerians don't want to see, in fact, if we see defections from any party ahead after the primaries, that party already is having some credibility problem and may affect their chances in the general election. So they need to have all this at the back of their mind going forward. At least two of them have had conventions, the PDP, and of course the APC have National Working Committee duly recognized by INEC. Others must do their own in the next couple of days. So once they have, that's the first stage. Then the next stage will now be nomination of their candidates, which is the main thing that people are looking for. There are parties that are seemingly popular now, but the choice of candidates may affect their popularity. They should be conscious of all these possibilities and make sure they choose right so that the people can go along with them.
Now, you spoke about the popularity. I remember the last elections, a party that we never thought would emerge as one of the frontrunners came through because of one candidate. Do you think we would be having that happening again this time, especially with the emergence of the ADC? Because some people are scared about what's going to happen with the PDP, too many defections. So do you think we'll have a repeat of that 2023 elections where it was PDP gunning it right there alongside the Labour Party and the APC?
Well, two things determines election: the choice of candidate and the structures that the party have. You understand? For that particular person, both worked in his favor. As far as that state was concerned, he has structures on ground and he is popular. That's why I couldn't win in any other states. But where he has stronghold, he got his victory. Now, that will also count. And that's why I'm happy with what the PDP eventually was able to do, reconciliation and agreeing to do a proper thing. Because that political party happens to be the one with the widest structure in terms of network in the country. And what their leaders said, especially the former Senate president, what he said was quite germane. That you can't imagine a situation where this political party would not field candidates in the general election. Does it make sense? That was what he told the people, his colleagues. And they all reasoned along with him. We just have to have this. And so they've had that. Now the platform is available for as many as would want to use. And immediately after the convention, when some people saw the presence of INEC there, they were going to defect. They made a U-turn to stay back in the party. And definitely, with the network they have, they will definitely pull some string. They are not going to lose every state. They may even gain some state which their governors are defected in of recent back to the party because they have a strong net, they have loyalists at the grassroots. Those ones are important. Those are the mobilizers that will go into the community to have people convinced to come vote for their party.
All right, Mr. Badejoko, as we wrap up on this segment this morning, just briefly, in a few seconds, how would you describe INEC's readiness for 2027? Do you think it's going to be a turning point, or is it also tailing towards the part of a repetition of what we've had in the past?
Well, we have to pray against that. But if you look at the personality of the new chairman, he's enthusiastic, he's ambitious, he wants to achieve results. That is good, but he's not the sole determinant. He must get his fund on time. You understand? Then the Rex, which most of us don't talk about, are also some personalities that are important. We must have Rex that have integrity in the states, because Amopitan will only be in Abuja. These Rex are the ones in the states. What Amopitan can do differently is to ensure that the people that will be returning officers of the elections are also people of unquestionable character, because they too will go a long way in determining the level of credibility of the elections. But most importantly, on the final note, the politicians have to step up their games in the area of maturity and discipline.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Badejoko Adesumbo, a social commentator who's been talking to us about INEC and political parties' readiness in preparation ahead of 2027. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back with our second guest after this break. Please stay with us.